Pete, let's talk a little bit about the draft, because
Yeah.
now it's in the rearview mirror. It's behind us.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that you had predicted came to be, and some of the things that I think were surprising. Hendon Hooker, for instance, that was a little bit of a surprise, wasn't it, Pete?
It was. And I tell you, John, there are certain teams, and you and I were going to maybe kick around some of what went on in that draft. I will mention this, John, because I'm going to go back to this time and time again, because I caught all kinds of grief from a couple of bozos that should know a lot more about TV ratings. So I'm going there again. So
right.
I'm not saying how many people went to the draft, although it was a hell of a lot in Kansas City if you watched it, a hell of a lot. But it has nothing to do with that. It's TV. It's TV ratings. So here's what I got for you. NBA, 12-year highs. You know what that means, John? 4 million people are watching the NBA. Do you know how many people in the playoffs, critical time, and this is 12-year highs. You know how many people were watching this? If you go to this one spot, John, there were a total unduplicated audience of 34 million. Now, if you go by the standard thing, it's 12 million. Either way, we're talking about the draft, which is just a bunch of players sitting around and showing off the bling when they get up there, doing this little number. You know, you got to do that when you get up there. But it was unbelievable. So they had an incredible audience. They do an unbelievable job. I mean, that's one thing that Roger Goodell and all his predecessors started to move on to. And the draft is just another one of those monster events, very much like a Super Bowl. It's just incredible because people know these guys and they know of these guys and they're just waiting. And we've been talking about them forever. So I gave you an opportunity, John. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers might have had the best draft of anybody. And I'll give you my reasons why. They drafted on need and best player, because that's a very important thing. So last year they took Kenny Pickett, a great quarterback out of Pitt, stays right there. This year, what do? You try to protect that guy just a little bit more. They got Broderick Jones from Georgia in the first round. They got a cornerback who's 6'3". His father played in the NFL, Joey Porter. This is Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State, a corner who's 6'3", 200, long, lean, and can run. That seems like a pretty damn good draft pick to me. Then they got a kid out of Wisconsin, a defensive tackle, last name Benton, very good player. They also got a linebacker you and I talked about as kind of like, hey, this kid's kind of a sleeper, Nick Hegbert. Now, outside linebacker, Wisconsin, nobody really knows him, but all the kid does is sack the quarterbacks, make a hell of a lot of tackles, and never stops running. So they did pretty well. Oh, and I forgot one other guy. They took the tight end from Georgia, John, who might be the guy that might be one of the bigger sleepers out there. Well, he's only 6'8" and 275 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan, who can catch the ball if they throw it to him. Last year, they didn't throw it to him. Why? Well, because they had the number one tight end in all of football, who's only a sophomore out of Napa, California. And that kid just lit it up, right? He's got speed. He can run routes like a wide receiver. He's got the size of a tight end. And Georgia's got a guy at every single position. So this guy was a backup to him. I think Darnell Washington is going to be a hell of a tight end, John. So it's going to be fun. Was there anybody that you were excited about? I was excited about your Bears. You're protecting your quarterback. That's big.
Yep, I was too, Pete, but I'm going to say Philly. But yeah, as far as Darnell Wright, that offensive tackle to protect Fields, that's a nice pickup. Yep. They got a big guy on defense, Gervon Dexter Sr.
Yep. Yeah.
I bet Gervon Dexter himself is pretty scary dude too, because this Gervon Dexter Sr. is pretty damn stout. I think the Bears had a very good draft, Pete. Yeah. So I would probably give them an A- or something like that. But Philadelphia Eagles, because we're talking about a Super Bowl team, Pete, and for them to have the second best draft, here's what I'll say: Jalen Carter. We talked about him extensively. D-tackle. Nolan Smith, edge rusher. So they've got two big defensive players coming in that I think can start for years. Offensive tackle, Tyler Steen or something like that, Pete. Sidney Brown, safety. Cornerback, Ringo. Quarterback, Tanner McKee. I mean, they had a great draft. So if you're one of our friends in Philly, you're probably very happy today looking over that draft list. I don't think anybody booed a single one of those picks.
No, they
but I'll
can't.
Guarantee the Jets, they booed a lot of those picks.
Yeah, I will say this. I thought the world of what Philadelphia did, and there's one other team that did an amazing job, was the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are a team that people don't really recognize where they're going and how fast they're going to get there, John. I mean, they can say all the crap they want about these guys. They went out and got the big linebacker. They went out and got all the positions. They got a running back. Everybody says running backs aren't really worth that much. Well, that's usually said by a team that will not ever run the ball, so everybody knows they're going to throw it. And then all of a sudden you get a good pass rush and the game's over. You're going to win. The Vikings on defense can't figure out anything. They completely screwed up the draft. They went for a freaking dwarfy little wide receiver, John, and corner. Both of them can't run. These guys, there's defensive linemen that weigh 320 pounds that run as fast as these two guys that they drafted. It's unbelievable to me.
Want more from Market Rebellion? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and learn more about options trading at marketrebellion.com.